Check 1, 2.
Go! Curious about real estate? Yes! Then you've come to the right place. Get the knowledge you need. Get over the fear and get started. This is the Michael Quarles Real Estate Show with your host, Michael Quarles.
Hello, everybody. Michael Quarles with podcast number 41. Today we have 5 questions sent in by investors to be asked and answered. And remember, to get your questions on, please send them to support@bsffacademy.com. One more time, support@bsffacademy.com. Here we go. Question number 1. When selling a sub-2 owner financing deal on the MLS, if you were not a broker or agent, would you pay a flat MLS listing fee, not hiring a selling agent, and wait for the buyer's agent to bring you the offer? Well, first of all, the selling agent and the buyer's agent is the same thing. The question should have said a listing agent. So it's the listing agent and the selling agent. So listing agent represents the seller. The selling agent represents the buyer. I know it's odd. It's just how they do it. I would not use a flat fee listing company in most occasions because the multiple listing service requires the agent who posts the property on the MLS to tell the agents the scope of work that they're doing. So if an agent who's showing property sees that listing and it says listing only, no services, or something to that effect, they know that they have to do both sides of the disclosures because their broker's still going to require all the disclosures. They know that they have to deal with the homeowner. And in a market that's really busy and high in demand, maybe that would be okay. Not sure we're quite there yet again. So I want to pay a full commission. In fact, I don't mind paying more than normal and make my commission contingent upon a full price offer and actually give or offer to give a bonus to the selling agent if they bring me a cash offer and we close on time. So I'm actually going to make it enticing for everybody. And let's face it, 6 or 7% to a couple people that they're splitting with their broker to find me buyers and to manage my escrow allows me and frees me up the time to go and talk to sellers and buy houses at 30 or 40 or 50%. So it's not even worth my headache or my time to do flat fee listings to only save that 3%. It just doesn't make any sense to me. Question number 2. Have you ever bought a house next to a registered sex offender? If so, how much could this affect the resale value? Could this hurting the value help negotiation with the current owner, especially if that is the reason the owner wants to sell? Well, as far as helping with negotiation, absolutely. Abso-friggin-lutely. Have I ever bought one? I have no clue because I do not look at the online to find out where they are and if there's a next door neighbor. Now, we do 6-packs around the house that we're buying and interview the neighbors, but I have yet to ever have one say that there's a registered sex offender there. Now, I've bought houses from folks who were doing all kinds of things with their houses. I remember I bought a house that was being used as a online porn business, so they had their bedrooms all made up fancy and stuff. I've bought houses from people who one room was full of religious CDs and tapes and Bibles, and the other room was full of the exact opposite. And in all those situations, they mitigated the sales price because of those concerns that they would have, and they didn't want the general public in the houses and those kinds of things. They wanted someone in the house that didn't care, somewhat blind. And I go into every house with a blind attitude. I don't pass judgment. The only time that I do make a judgment call is if I see someone being harmed in the home. So if I was in the home and they were carrying on their business and no one was being harmed, and who am I to say anything? But if there's a child or a wife or a husband who I could tell was being harmed, I would absolutely step in and make sure that those folks were treated fairly. But as far as buying a house, I have no clue, and it would absolutely help with negotiation if I knew. Question number 3, and it's a scenario question. The seller has a 2,200 square foot, 3-bedroom, 1-bath home on 47 acres in the city limits of a top 50 city. This is adjacent new development with lots priced at $60K. The land is landlocked with an easement and access through the new development. The seller is very motivated. Is there any play here? Well, the landlocking would be a concern to me. Without a doubt be a concern to me. And I hate saying it, but I like normal. I'm just, I like normal because I can predict normal. One of the hardest things we have when we get outside of normal is determining valuation. And when we can't determine accurate valuation, that's when we can make the largest mistakes we can make. And so I like normal. And yeah, it could be a find, it could be an outstanding resource, it could be a moneymaker, but it's not for me. It would be like someone saying, hey, I have this commercial building over here that I want to sell. I'm not a commercial guy, so it's not going to get me excited where it would get someone who's a commercial guy excited. So the landlock would be the first thing that would say goodbye. But then just the fact that it's got 47 acres. Now, if all the property had 47 acres around it, all of my comparable sales, then it's normal and I don't have an issue with it. But if it's only one that has 47 acres, then no, I'm not going to fall forward on that one. Unless the price of the house was so overwhelmingly cheap and inexpensive and I could confirm I had absolutely that easement right, then I may do a play there. But probably not. I'm probably not going to get interested and excited about it. I'm just going to wait for the next phone call. Question number 4. How do you go about speaking with the seller who has recently lost their husband or wife and is still somewhat emotional about it? Is it best not to pursue the lead, to confront what they've been through, show empathy, and move forward? Well, here's the thing. They called me. They answered all my questions. They have a house to sell. Yes, it's a troubling time for them, and yes, it's an emotional time for them. But they're asking me for my help. I mean, I'm not, requiring them to ask me for my help. I'd almost think it would be wrong for me not to help them. And so I help them. And if we're having a hard time, we're just going to have a hard time together. And I can tell you what, I don't know about you folks that buy houses, but I can tell you that on numerous occasions, I have taken people's pain away in such great volumes that by the time they end up signing the agreement to sell me their house, they start breaking down in tears and start crying. They give me some of the best hugs because, man, no one else was willing to help them. Well, that's what we do. We treat people fairly. We create win-win situations. We're respectful and honorable and ethical and moral and, of course, legal. And when someone needs and wants to sell a house, yeah, and if they're in a tough situation, fall forward, help them out, be polite, but absolutely help them out. Can't tell you the amount of times and the guys and the gals that are crying are the guys and the gals. It's not just guys or not just gals who are just so relieved that you took the burden away. And in some of these folks, it's real tough to deal with a home that had 2 people in it, and now there's not 2 people there anymore. And sometimes the best thing for these folks to do is get on with their life and sometimes remove those memories. And if they need to sell a house to do that, then that's what they need to do. But I'm not going to judge somebody or their situation. If they ask me to buy a house, I'm going to buy a house. Question number 5. When just starting out wholesaling, yuck, and looking for a market to begin marketing in, does the median price of the house really make that much of a difference in selecting a market? Well, yes, absolutely. That's why I say that's one of the main criterias when we look at where we're going to go and spend money, because we want to spend money in the below median area. I'm not going to be in the high rent district. I want to be in the low rent district because that's where all the money's made. So absolutely. And stop wholesaling. If whoever wrote this question, you need to join the program, learn how to wholesale, and stop wholesaling. You're wasting so much money. Every time you wholesale a deal, you're going to get 10% of the potential profit. So if the house was worth whatever, and you could make 40 grand on it, you're going to get 4 grand. You might get lucky, you might get 5 grand. Well, if I buy that same house or similar house, I'm going to make 40 grand. So in order for you to make 40 grand, you have to do 10 times the amount of work that I do. But imagine if you did that 10 times the work that I do, but you did what I did. Man, what is 40 times 10? $400,000. Guys and gals, stop wholesaling. Man, there's only one reason you wholesale. It's because you do not know how to buy the house without cash or credit. Well, learn how to do that. Learn to set seller financing. Learn how to buy subject to. But stop wholesaling. And absolutely always look at your median. Here's your list criteria. You're going to go to 1 to 3 bedrooms. You're going to go 4-year ownership or longer. You're going to go single families. You're going to be under median. And you're going to have 30% to 100% equity. The key list will be out-of-state absentees, then out-of-city absentees. The third list is going to be tied between in-city absentees and people that are 65 years and older and who've owned their home for 15 years or longer. Then you're going to go to everybody else who's owned their home for 4 years or greater. It meets the same criteria that those original absentees did. Those are your 5 main groups, and everybody else falls within this. But here's an exciting thing, guys. My buddy Steve Washington out of Philly, man, when he came to town, now Steve's been an investor for quite a long time. He asked me to mentor him, but he's bought a bucket load of houses. But the way I mentored him was not as the kind of ways I mentor everybody else. He really wanted to systemize his business, get it to the next level, stop wholesaling. And so we did that with him. But when we got together this weekend, man, we were brainstorming. It was out friggin' standing. But here's what we figured out. Steve and I figured out how we can pull a list of abandoned and vacant houses, run and find the seller who's hiding from us, and buy those. Man, it was a killer weekend. If anybody wants to know about that program, then you've got to send me an email at support@bsffacademy.com, and I will send it off to Stephen, and he will get a hold of you. It's an outstanding way to maximize your list that you're already marketing to. So again, I can take your list. Say you've got 1,000 people or 1,500 people on your list. I can tell you with technology that I have myself, this cool stuff. I can tell you who that house is vacant and abandoned in some cases. Stephen can tell you, this is what's really awesome about this, guys. Stephen can tell you how to get a hold of that person who doesn't want to be found. It is absolutely friggin' amazing. So if you want to know more about that program, shoot us an email. But that's absolutely outstanding. And again, guys, and gals, if you want to learn how to buy houses for massive amounts of money, buying them subject to seller financing, option financing, of course, cash and hard money lending financing, and you want to become a massive investor, give me a call. Let's talk for 15 minutes. But I appreciate you guys sending in these questions. And until next time, take care, guys. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to the Michael Quarles Real Estate Show. Get more info and stay in touch at michaelquarles.com.